Hey, what's going on? It's your boy Dice here, and I want to welcome you to the third part of the video series on burnout. So you've actually gone through a bit phase of burnout, you've hit the burnout wall, and you've gone through the other side where you sort of were bedridden for a period of time. You couldn't actually get out of bed in the morning because you're just sort of like very undermotivated and you're overwhelmed, and you're sort of just going from like distraction to distraction, and you really didn't know how to put it all together. But for whatever reason, you've got to a point where you've recovered enough to start addressing your life. You've got a little bit of courage in you, and you want to be able to like utilize this courage that you have to start to put it in the right places and to regain some sort of sense of norm. So what do you do when you get to this point? Well, in this video, we're going to discuss some of the mindset shifts that you can start doing right now to be able to address your life and to be able to get out of burnout to the point where you never have to experience it ever again. Hey, if you don't know me, I'm Dice. I help young, analytically and logically minded men that are just like you. I help you to discover your purpose so that you can live your life with clarity, meaning, and direction. If you like this sort of content, then do me a favor and hit that like button and hit the subscribe button. And also particularly with this video series, maybe even hit the bell notification, because in the next video, it's going to be basically a continuation of this video. So with that being said, let's get cracking into the video. I do actually have some notes for this video, because I don't want my brain to jump all over the place, and I want to be able to deliver this content in the best way possible so that you can get value out of it. But you're going to have to bear with me. So if you're used to these TikTok videos and shorts, then this isn't the video for you, okay? I want to give you the practical things that'll get you out of burnout for good, all right? So let's get cracking into it. So the first topic is during rest, do some self-reflection, okay? So you've got to a point now where you've actually been forced to take some rest, because you couldn't take it anymore, and you need to take some time out. So a lot of this time you've probably been going from like a distraction to distraction because you weren't really able to sort of address the things that are going on inside of you. So that's okay, sort of tactic to utilize for the short term, but eventually you need to get to a place where you're actually bored, okay? This is going to be very, very hard to do, but it's very important that you do get to a state of boredom, because then you can actually utilize the lack of not doing anything to actually dive in and start to self-address some of the things that are going on inside. So yeah, take some time out with no distraction. Your goal here is to gain some clarity so that when you actually get back to work, if you choose to get back to the work that you actually want to do, you are motivated and you're actually excited to continue that work. Also, learn how you're going to utilize your time in the future. What are some things that you could set up, like some boundaries and some rules that you could set for yourself so this doesn't actually happen again. Also, this is some time for you to actually process what just happened, okay? Reflect on all the reasons that you actually feel this way leading up to the burnout wall, and connect with a plan to get out of the mess. A saying that I got from R.S.D. Tyler is, a pessimist becomes an optimist when he has a plan. A pessimist becomes an optimist when he has a plan. So that really took, for a person that's often very pessimistic, that really stood out to me. And when I start to observe that in my own behavior, I'm like, whoa, I just need a better plan, or even just a rough plan to be able to get out of this mess. So another thing is when you set more realistic goals, you become less of a pessimist, and you become more excited to be able to at least attempt the task. And when you start to attempt the task, you start to trick your brain and actually engaging, and you might actually win at it. So you need to be able to try and find a situation where you can actually try to win, which is what we're going to talk about on the 5th video. All right, so the only reason that you should look into the past is to find out what went wrong so that you don't repeat the same mistakes, okay? So I've certainly been caught in this trap before, where your mind is on loop, thinking about all the things that went wrong and negative thoughts. But the only reason you should look into the past is to work out where you went wrong, learn from it, so you don't actually repeat the same mistakes. So don't dwell on it, okay? The shitty situation happened. Pick all the little points that you realize that you don't want to happen again and move on from it, okay? Do some release work. In other videos, I've talked about how to do some release work and move on. This whole process of going from complete burnt out to back to work should be no longer than about 3 or 4 months, okay? You should be back excited to work again within 3 or 4 months. There are a lot of other influences oh, you need to take 6 months off. No, you're born to engage. You're born to actually do things that are important to you. And sure, you need to take some time off, but certainly not 6 months to a year. That's complete BS. The next topic I want to talk about is reframing the idea of problems and setbacks, okay? So you've encountered a lot of problems and setbacks leading up to burnout, and this has really worn you down, okay? The mindset that really helped me with this was understand that there's going to be problems and setbacks on any project, okay? Agree with yourself in advance. Agree with yourself, like, okay, well, I'm going to attempt this project. Things aren't going to work out, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm going to at least try on this thing. And by doing so, you sort of trick your brain and you actually start to become a bit more optimistic, and you recognize that things are going to be painful. Things are going to be hard. There's going to be setbacks, but you do it anyway. You know, successful people, they understand this concept very, very deeply, okay? They understand that success comes from repeated failure and learning how to not be discouraged from those failures, because they know that failures is where they get all the answers, and when you get all the answers, that's when you actually can be successful. It sort of just goes with the territory. So also another point they understand is failing to get new problems, failing to get setbacks means that you're not actually trying, or you're spending too much time in like the planning mode, okay? Because you've planned it right down to the T, where it's sucked the fun out of it and you're afraid to make mistakes. You know, things aren't always going to go according to plan. You want to realize that things aren't going to go according to plan, and it's just simply part of life. If you can get to a point of acceptance and go, oh, well, shit's just not going to go smoothly or according to plan, and pay the price in advance, then this is actually going to help with you like reducing some of the pain overall as you're going through towards your goal. So shit's just going to go wrong from time to time, so just freaking deal with it, okay? But be careful not to fall into like victim mentality and like be like emotionally tied to like actively searching out things to go wrong. But the shitstorm's going to come, okay? Whether you plan it all out and then you execute it, or you don't plan it, things are going to go wrong. So just do your best to navigate this thing we call life and move on from it, and continuously just try again. If you don't get it the first time, you try again. If you don't get it that time, you try again. You know, make it super simple. Ahmed Shafi has this quote that I got from one of his videos, helps me out a lot, is patience comes very, very easily when you realize that you don't have a choice. Okay, so how do we apply this knowledge, this wisdom that we got from Ahmed Shafi? Okay, if you knew that success is guaranteed, but it would take you 5 years to get there, that would take a huge amount of weight off your shoulders. It would make it so that, like, you know, your patience would be immediately increased, and thus you wouldn't be stressed out all the time trying to meet a certain deadline that may actually be a false deadline. That knowing that you would eventually get there would actually take a lot of the weight off your shoulders, and it would make you more excited about, you know, the day-to-day activities. So the next thing that I want to talk about is learn to connect with the why, okay? This will certainly help with you being able to fix the disengagement and your sort of like lack of motivation. You're currently disengaged from your project because you've forgotten the reasons that you started it in the first place. Okay, you got your head down, bum up, and you got consumed by a certain task that you need to do without actually seeing the bigger picture. And that's why you've lost all this motivation and excitement that was originally there in the start. So a simple question here is, why did I start it in the first place? And the next one is this something that I really want to do anymore? Is this something that I really want anymore? Okay, these are very deep questions, that sort of like umbrella questions that you can ask yourself as you start to go down the rabbit hole. So if this is something that you want, then what you have to do is you have to change your approach, okay? It's definitely still something that's important and has meaning and purpose to you, but the way that you've been going about it for whatever reason has been wrong. So you need to adjust course, maybe get some help, maybe you want to reach out and talk to me, and understand a new way to go about getting the same goal or the task or the project done. But if it's not something that you want to do anymore, or you can't see yourself like applying yourself and engaging with it anymore to finish the project, then it's time to actually start to re-question, is this something that is actually for you anymore? And it's time for you to move on to new things. Also, another thing that I certainly noticed in my behavior as I was starting to go through my awakening was you could actually be self-sabotaging, okay? Because things have been going well, you know, even though you've been burnt out, things have been going well, and you're about to hit that point where everything just sort of lines up, and you subconsciously know that, and because you've been like, you know, working really, really hard to make that happen, you're actually fearful of your new identity, okay? And what will actually happen if you break through to the other side. So you may have actually created some sort of identity, like you're a hard worker, or like the struggler, or a guy that never really makes it. And when things start to go well, you sort of create this illusion that things are like super, super hard, so that you get burnt out and you give up so that you can remain in the same identity, okay? It's really, really fucking hard to like break out of this, but if you'll notice this pattern happen in your life over and over and over again, to the point where you actually start to address the root cause. Basically what I'm getting at is like, stop holding yourself back, okay? Otherwise you're just going to go through that same cycle over and over and over again. Burn out, get yourself back on your feet, do a little bit of work, burn out, and it's just going to be chaos. So find the root cause, fix the root cause, and move on. So the next topic that we're going to be talking about is addressing the feeling of guilt, okay? You might be feeling very guilty for not being able to help people up until this point, okay? You've made promises to people that you can no longer keep, and you sort of feel like a bit of like a letdown towards them. Like that you couldn't actually keep those promises. So it might be actually very hard for you to like be very selfish, okay? Because you need to be selfish. You need to actually address your own own inner world so that you can be more effective to help other people. So you need to be more selfish with your time and like be able to do some inner work, to dive deep, to work out how your inner motivation and reward circuitry actually works, and find reasons to actually be driven again. So you have to help yourself first, so that you can be more effective to help other people, okay? When you help yourself, you put yourself in the right headspace and conditions to be more happy and to be more engaged and to be more effective to be able to help other people. So just one that you hear all the time is like the plane oxygen example, okay? When the plane's going down and you've got cabin decompression or whatever, the oxygen masks come down, okay? They always tell you not to put them on other people first, because in the process of you putting them on other people's first, you end up freaking getting like, not enough oxygen and you pass out. They always say, put it on you first and then help the children, okay? So that's just a simple example. Work on yourself so that you can be effective, so that you can be conscious, so that you can help other people more effectively. So the next topic is talk to someone, okay? So when you're ready, go and talk to someone about this. Go and find a situation where someone's non-judgmental, that they'll actually be able to listen and to be able to point you in the right direction. It's interesting when you start to like talk about your problems, like get them out of your head and into the real world, or even into like a camera, or like into somebody there that's willing to listen and to willing to bounce ideas off. You tend to solve your own problems, or it brings those problems to the surface in such a way that now you can actually analyze it better, you can think linearly, and you can actually sort of work out a plan to actually escape the madness that you're in. It's like when you voice your thoughts in the real world, it helps align your ideas in a linear way, and when you do, you can see the outcomes that would work in your favor. You basically end up solving your own problems because you actually put them in the forefront of your mind and you try to work out a way to get out of them. That's assuming that you're actually in solutions orientated mode, that a lot of people struggle to get their mind into. Also, when you say things that are in your head out aloud, it helps you to recognize that a lot of the thoughts that are going on inside your head are really, really dumb and they're not actually serving you. So it actually helps you solve your own problems and to stop the madness. So maybe I can help you with this. Maybe you're at a stage where you've just started to go outside of burnout, okay? You've gone through some of these phases that I've talked about, and you need a little bit more clarity, you need a little bit more direction, and you need better questions to ask yourself so that you don't go through this again. Maybe you're at a stage where you might even look at moving into a different career path and you're not really sure what that could be because you don't understand your own value structure, or you're at a stage where you're starting to awaken that with a job that you're in or the work that you're doing is not really connecting with you anymore. So if that's the case and you need somebody to help you with, then maybe consider reaching out to me on Instagram. You and I can get on a one-on-one discovery call, see if we're actually a good fit. And if we are a good fit, I'll be super excited to be able to put you through my mentoring program so that you can come out the other side a changed man. Now, if you're at a stage where you're like still thinking that you can do this on your own and you're not really at a stage to be able to talk to somebody about that, but you like the sort of content, then hit that like button and subscribe so that you can actually see a lot of my free content that I put up. It also helps out the channel a great deal so that we can spread this to other men that are in this space. And yeah, with that being said, thanks so much for watching, and this is Dice out.